You've seen it. Someone just gets laid off from a company that just announced record profit and is, quote, investing heavily in AI. Meanwhile, it's taking a lot longer for you to land a job, and you're left wondering what the heck you're missing. Here's what you're missing. The rules have changed, and you just weren't informed. I'm Mary Southern, the founder of Resume Assassin. And over the last decade, I've helped over 4,000 people land roles at companies like Microsoft, Google, Netflix, Tesla, and so many more. And what I'm seeing in the market right now, it's unlike anything I've ever seen before. AI is coming for your job, right? So learn AI, put it on your resume, and you'll be absolutely fine. Here's what's actually happening. Companies are using AI as a story, a narrative that they tell investors, boards, and the press. The real cuts, the real hesitation in hiring, the real shift in what gets you hired, that's way more nuanced, way less about ChatGPT, and actually way more in your control than you've been led to believe. In this video, you're gonna get the real breakdown of what's actually happening. We're gonna walk through 12 things that are happening in the market right now, why they're happening, and most importantly, what you can do about each one so that when you're job searching, you're not just throwing applications and hoping they stick. You're positioning yourself exactly where the market needs you to be. Let's get into it. Companies are performing AI transformation, putting on a show for investors and boards without actually changing how the work gets done. And here's the thing about public companies. They answer to shareholders. And right now, saying we're AI first adds to your valuation. Saying we're cutting costs and hoping for the best absolutely does not. So leaders are using the language of AI transformation even when the actual operational changes are basically nothing. Think about how many times you've heard a CEO in an earnings call say something like, "We're deeply committed to integrating AI across our entire organization." And then you look at the actual product or the actual teams, and nothing has changed except the headcount. That's AI theater. It's the corporate equivalent of putting a Tesla logo on a minivan. Here's what this means for you. When you're job searching, you're going to see job descriptions loaded with AI buzzwords. Some of those companies genuinely mean it. A lot of them don't. Your job in the interview is to ask the right questions. Can you tell me about a specific workflow where the team is already using AI tools? To figure out which one you're talking to. Because if it's a theater company, you want to know that before you accept the offer. Companies are cutting roles today based on what they think AI will do someday, not what it's actually doing right now. There's a very human phenomenon that's happening in leadership right now. Executives are reading the same headlines that you are. They're watching demos of AI tools. They're seeing competitors announce AI-powered this and that, right? And some of them are making workforce decisions based on vibes and projections instead of actual data. They're not asking, what can AI do? They're asking, what might AI do in 3 years? And they're acting on that answer today. Here's a really crazy statistic that's worth sitting with. A huge number of layoffs being attributed to AI right now are happening in roles where the actual AI replacement tools don't exist yet, aren't mature enough to deploy, or require so much human oversight that they're basically just expensive tools with extra steps. The cuts are real. The automation, not so much. Not yet. Okay, again, here's what this means for you. If you're in a role that's been cut, or you're worried about one, the smart move is to understand the actual capability gap. If the AI tool that supposedly replaces your job requires a human to review every output, prompt it correctly, and catch its mistakes, guess what? That human can be you. Get in front of the tool instead of behind it. So saying that we're investing in AI sounds strategic and visionary. Saying we're cutting costs sounds really desperate, but it's the same move. Corporate communication is essentially marketing for investors, for talent, for press. The framing of a decision matters as much as the decision itself. So when a company lays off 10% of its workforce and pivots to talking about AI investment in the same breath, that's very intentional. They're managing the narrative. Here's a pattern that you'll notice. Company announces record profits. Company announces strategic AI transformation. Company announces job cuts. These are three things that come in sequence, often within the same quarter. The AI announcement is the bridge between good news and painful news. It gives the market a story to tell itself. And honestly, it works. Stock prices often go up after these announcements. So when you're evaluating companies to target in your job search, look for past press releases. Look at who they actually hired in the last 12 months. Look at their LinkedIn job postings. Look at where the budget is actually going. Action reveals priorities. Announcements reveal goals. You want the former. Mid-level roles, so operations, project managers, coordinators, are getting cut first because it looks like their jobs can be automated on paper, even if the reality is a lot more complicated. When an executive with no operational context looks at a job description for a project coordinator or an operations manager, it looks like a lot of scheduling, tracking, updating, and communicating. And there are AI tools that can do pieces of all of those things. So on a spreadsheet, these roles look like low-hanging fruit. The problem is that what you don't see on a job description is the 40% of the job that's managing ambiguity, navigating politics, and making judgment calls that no AI can make. The people that are actually doing these jobs know exactly how complex they are, but the people cutting them often don't. It's a visibility problem. Middle management and operations roles are often the glue that holds the teams together. And when that glue is gone, things get really messy fast. We'll come back to this in a minute when we talk about the risk companies aren't talking about. If you're in one of these roles or hiring for them, the positioning needs to shift. Your resume and your LinkedIn should not be describing tasks. They should be describing outcomes and decisions, not managed project timelines. That sounds like something a calendar app can do, right? Try navigated across functional product launch across 4 departments within a 2-week deadline shift, resulting in on-time delivery and a 15% reduction in revision cycles. That second version, no AI is doing that. Make sure your resume makes that obvious. Teams are getting smaller, workloads are not. The work is just getting redistributed to whoever's left. This is what happens when you cut for the wrong reasons. If you reduce headcount, but the actual volume of work hasn't changed because the AI tools aren't deployed yet, or they're not reliable enough to own full workflows, you haven't created efficiency. You've created burnout with a side of guilt because the people who kept their jobs don't want to complain. Talk to almost anyone in a company that's gone through layoffs in the last 18 months. They'll tell you the same thing, I guarantee it. Same amount of work, fewer people, and somehow the expectation is that AI makes up the gap, even though in most cases it doesn't, not at the level they need it to. Meanwhile, the people left are stretched thin and quietly updating their resumes. Here's what this means for you. 2 things, okay? First, if you're job searching and a company mentions lean team in the job description, ask questions. That can mean we work smart and cut the nonsense. Or it can mean you'll do the work of 3 people. Find out which one it is. Second, if you're currently in a role where this is happening to you, document your expanded scope right now, because that expanded impact is the exact thing that makes your resume compelling when you're ready to move. Okay, we're to point 6. Why hiring is slower even when teams are understaffed. Companies are hesitating to hire because they're waiting to see what AI can replace, even when they desperately need people right now. They've told the board they're going AI first. They've made cuts to fund that narrative. And now they can't turn around 6 months later and start hiring again without looking like they didn't have a plan in the first place. So they wait. They post jobs with the intention of filling them eventually. They run interviews with absolutely no urgency. And in the meantime, the people who stayed are drowning. You might have experienced this. You apply to a job, you interview, and then silence. And then maybe a second interview 2 months later, and then the position gets put on hold. This isn't always ghosting for the sake of ghosting. Sometimes it's a genuine organizational paralysis. Companies are making bets on where the workforce is going, and a lot of them are genuinely unsure. And that uncertainty is slowing everything down. This is why having a pipeline matters more than ever. Don't put all of your energy into one application or one company. Work multiple opportunities at the same time. And when you're in the process with a company, ask them directly, what's your timeline for this role? And is this a backfill or a new position? Those answers tell you a lot about how serious they are right now. Point 7, job descriptions quietly shifting. Roles now expect AI tool usage to be built in, even when it's not explicitly stated. The unspoken bar has moved. Employers are in a really weird spot here too. They want candidates who can use AI tools, but they're not always sure which tools, or to what degree, or how to screen for it. So instead of stating it clearly, it shows up as vague language like comfort with emerging technologies, or ability to work in a fast-evolving environment. Translation, we want someone who uses AI and figures things out, but we don't know exactly what we're asking for. Scan any mid to senior level job description right now and look for those phrases. You'll see them constantly. And here's what's interesting. When you ask hiring managers what AI tools they actually use on the team, a lot of them will say ChatGPT for drafts and maybe one or two other tools. The expectation is lower than the language implies, but the candidate who names specific tools and specific use cases within the interview, they stand out immediately. So start using AI tools in your actual work, whatever your role is. Then put it on your resume and on your LinkedIn, but be specific, okay? Not leveraged AI tools to enhance productivity. That tells me nothing. Use ChatGPT and Notion AI to reduce first draft content creation by 40%, redirecting that time towards strategy and client-facing work. That's really specific. It's real, and it shows you're already ahead of the curve. Point number 8, people are stuffing AI into resumes and LinkedIn profiles without any real depth, and it's actually hurting them. The advice to add AI to your resume went viral, which means now everyone is doing it, which means it no longer differentiates you. Which, worse, when a hiring manager or recruiter sees vague AI language and then asks about it in an interview and gets a blank stare, that's a trust problem. You've now actively misrepresented yourself. And that's worse than not mentioning it at all. I review hundreds of resumes and LinkedIn profiles. And right now, I see a wave of profiles where someone has added AI enthusiast to their headline or leveraged AI solutions to every single bullet point without any context. It reads like someone who Googled how to update resume for AI era at like 11 o'clock at night and just started adding words. Hiring managers see it. They talk about it. It does not help you. Depth over breadth every single time. One specific honest example of how you've used AI tools in your actual work is worth 10 generic mentions. If you haven't used AI tools yet, start today. Experiment. Document what you do. Give yourself something real to say. That's the version of this that actually moves the needle. Point 9. Executives believe AI is further along than it is. People doing the actual work know it's not there yet. That gap is causing a lot of damage. Think about how most executives are experiencing AI. They're getting demos from AI vendors who are showing them the best case scenario. They're reading analyst reports. They're going to conferences. All of this creates a very optimistic picture of what AI can do right now. There's a really great example of this tension in almost every company that's done an aggressive AI rollout. The C-suite announces that AI will handle X. The team doing X tries to implement it. The team doing X quietly does the work themselves while also cleaning up after the AI. Nobody tells leadership because nobody wants to be the person that says the emperor has no clothes. And then 6 months later, the initiative works because the humans made it work. But the lesson drawn is that AI is capable, not that the team is exceptional. If you can bridge this gap, if you can translate between what leadership thinks AI can do and what it can actually do, and help your company navigate that reality responsibly, you are invaluable. That's a skill. It's not a technical skill. It's a judgment and communication skill. And it's rare. Think about whether that's a story you can tell about yourself. Okay, final point. It's not just about skills anymore. It's about positioning yourself as someone who works alongside change, not someone who gets replaced by it. The job market has always rewarded people who could adapt, But right now, there's a specific brand of adaptability that's in demand. People who aren't afraid of AI tools, who don't pretend they're more powerful than they are, and who can integrate them practically into real work. That's not a tech skill, that's a mindset. And mindset shows up in how you talk about your work, how you frame your experience, and how you carry yourself in interviews. The candidates who are landing right now are not the ones who learned a new programming language or got an AI certification. They're the ones who can walk into a room and say, here's the problem I've solved, here's how I think about it, and here's how I've used every tool available to me, including AI, to do it better. And here's where I see the next opportunity. That's confidence grounded in real work. That's what wins. So this is a positioning exercise. Your resume, your LinkedIn, your interview prep, all of it needs to tell a coherent story about someone who is oriented toward the future, grounded in real results, and unfazed by change. Not because you're performing that, because it's actually true. And if it doesn't feel true yet, that's what we're here to work on. Point 11. The risk companies aren't talking about. Cut too early before AI is actually ready, and you lose institutional knowledge that can never be recovered or replicated. There's a kind of knowledge that lives in people and how they've navigated this client relationship for 5 years, and why this process works in this specific way, and who to call when something breaks at 9 p.m. None of that is in a knowledge base. None of it is in a wiki. It's in someone's head. And when that person leaves, it goes with them. And no AI right now can replace that. Companies that cut aggressively and then try to scale quickly are going to hit this wall hard. They'll have a smaller team trying to use AI tools to do the work. But the AI doesn't know the context, the history, the nuance. And the humans who do know, they're gone. Some companies will figure this out in a year and quietly start rehiring. Some will lose ground to competitors who moved more carefully. This is already starting to happen. So if you've been at a company for a long time, you have institutional knowledge that is genuinely valuable, you should be talking about it. Not as, I've been here for 10 years, but as, I've navigated this company through 3 market cycles. I know where the bodies are buried, and I know how to get things done here faster than someone starting fresh. That's a pitch. Make it. Point 12. Who's actually benefiting right now? The people winning in this market are the practical operators, the people who can translate between business needs and AI tools without being the AI expert, in the traditional sense. Here's the gap that exists right now. Most AI tools are built by technical people for technical people. The person who can take an AI tool and apply it to solve a real business problem, someone who speaks both languages, is incredibly valuable. And there aren't very many of them yet. Think of the person on your team who's not a data scientist, but they figured out how to use a data visualization tool better than anyone else. Or the marketer who's using AI to run content experiments that used to take an entire team. Or the ops person who built a workflow automation that saved the team 4 hours a week. Those people are not AI experts. They're practical problem solvers who adopted a new set of tools. That's the profile that companies are desperately trying to hire right now. So you don't need to become a prompt engineer. You don't need to learn Python. You need to find the sweet spot of what you already do well and what AI tools can make you do them better, faster, and at a greater scale. Then you need to get really specific about that and make it at the center of your personal brand. That's the sweet spot. Okay, let's bring this home. What you just walked through isn't a list of reasons to panic. It's a map. Companies are navigating real uncertainty about AI, making decisions based on optics as much as strategy. And the job market is reflecting all of that confusion in real time. But here's what's also true. Uncertainty creates gaps, and gaps create opportunity for the people who understand what's actually happening. That's you now. The job market has not suddenly become a place where only AI experts win. It's become a place where people who are adaptable, specific about their value, and honest about what they can do with the tools available to them Those are the people winning. That profile is available to almost anyone willing to do the work. If your resume and LinkedIn profile are not telling this story right now, that's the work. And that's exactly what I do at Resume Assassin. If you want eyes on your resume and LinkedIn profile from someone who's helped over 4,000 people, head to resumeassassin.com. Schedule a free 15-minute consultation today. I'd love to get to know your background and career goals a little bit better. And if this video was useful, subscribe, because the market is moving fast, and every week I'm bringing you the real breakdown of what's happening and what to do about it. You're not behind. You're just missing the right frame. And now you have it. I'll see you next week.